Hello, and welcome to my show. What's up, everybody? Yay! What's going on, you guys?
Heyo!
Heyo! Welcome to the show. I am joined by Ryan Zierfett and Jared from Comics League.
What's up?
What's going on, you guys?
Not that much.
Not much, man. It's a very boring, mundane weekend. Nothing going on here.
It's raining
Another
where I
week.
live.
It's another week as a DC fan.
Oh, I know, right? It's like, DC fans are like,
Yeah.
where's this guy? Why are they in charge? Why did he have to go away?
Why did he have to go away?
I want to see what
It
happened.
wasn't really his choice. So
Why can't we get this? You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand.
Oh my
Why is
God.
the suit not black?
Wait. Go back to that. What
I
did
don't
they
know.
do? What did they do to Ray Fisher?
why is the
Everybody else
suit
is
not
normal,
black?
And they're like, no, make him bigger.
Make him bigger.
I need bigger shoulders.
Like, why can't we get that? Come
Yeah,
on.
We all
man.
want that.
That's all we want. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What
Agreed.
the fuck,
agreed.
dude? It's ridiculous. So we're gonna talk about James Gunn and some of the things that he's done lately. Especially today, he was very active on social media, of course.
Mhm.
So we're gonna talk a little bit about that. But first off, look, it's in the thumbnail. There was an article by the Hollywood Reporter. Okay, Boris Kitt. I'm gonna have to reach out to Boris Kitt. No,
You haven't been returning his DMs.
I haven't been. He's been trying to hit me
I
up.
guess
I'm like,
he has,
no, but push.
I talk to him daily.
So he puts out an article, right?
Mm.
And it talks about how there's possibly no Henry Cavill Superman movie in development anymore. Everything's been put on hold. Wonder Woman
Sure.
3 done. They asked Patty Jenkins for a revision. Like, hey, can you fix this? Because we don't like it. Doesn't really fit in with our system, with our plan. She gets mad and says, "You don't know anything about a story arc. I'm leaving."
But the problem is that she doesn't know anything about Wonder Woman.
True.
If
I
we're
mean,
gonna
Technically,
get-
that was a
they asked
thing.
her about Donna
I mean,
Troy.
By the
I think
way-
they've asked her about like Cersei. She doesn't know these people. She doesn't. She's like, she doesn't understand Wonder Woman lore. The only thing she equates it to is the Linda Carter series that she probably watched,
Which is not relevant anymore. But what's kind of funny, I predicted after 1984, I was like, okay, there's not going to be a Wonder Woman 3.
No,
Or
there will
at
be,
least she
but
won't be
if they
attached
keep-
to it.
I
Right,
think
right,
there
right.
will be eventually.
But the thing is I see it as yeah, there's no Henry movie, there's no Gall movie, there's no there anything that's not in production has been destroyed, done away with, so that any sort of story beat or weaving going forward is going to be completely constructed by this new regime. And I think that's the reason why they put full stop, because it's no longer under DeLuca and Abdi, and I think now that you have
They make all the decisions. No, I mean, look, they're there and they're working side by side, or they're working in collaboration with him and Peter Safran. But it said clearly in the articles written by the Hollywood Reporter that James Gunn and Peter Safran report directly to David Zaslav.
Sure.
And so, but when you're a guy like David Zaslav and you're watching over an entire movie studio, right? Not to mention like a whole network of shows, everything, Discovery, Warner Bros. Discovery. It's not as if he wakes up every morning and he's like, "Oh man, how's that Batfleck series coming along?" And he's got so many things going on.
Sure.
And he has his
It's a
people
big
who are in
studio.
charge of that. And so when they come to see him, they go, "Okay, this is our plan. These are the financials behind it. This is our projected profits. This is where we've lost money. So there's a lot more that goes into it than just, hey, we got to restore the Snyderverse." You know what I mean? Like, it's not just so simple. It's not.
That's a bad. Don't rip that Band-Aid off. Come on now.
What I always figured they would do is do like a movie to resolve that storyline. Because let's face it, they have to demonstrate that they can finish a story because the past 2 years has been start, stop, start, stop, start, stop.
Yeah.
So how do we know they won't start something? And then the minute it gets tough, they're like, okay, no, another reboot. Stop it. Stop it.
Well, they really haven't had a good narrative.
Mhm.
And nothing is really connected. And you know, I mean, they're just sort of, and that's one of the reasons why the Flash, you know, was probably pushed back, was so that they could say, hey, you know what, we need to get our, you know, we need to sort of, you know, readjust. Because I mean, this thing, it should have been out years ago, you know, along with, you know, some of these other films. Yes, they're still being worked on. Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, they're still being worked on. They're still, you know, post-production and all that. That's great. And, you know, and that's really good for the production house, you know, for the CG houses. You know, because they're not under, you know, under the wire to, you know, get all these visuals done. You know, they can take their time and it won't look like shit. Hopefully, most likely. But yeah, I mean, you know, with this next slate, you know, coming out with Aquaman 2 and Blue Beetle and Flash and Shazam 2, you know, when we hear, and this is going to be right before Shazam 2 comes out, we're already going to know what the slate is, because that's March, and I think, you know, the slate will be revealed to us either this month or next.
I think he said like sometime in January we'll know at least
there you
the
go.
direction
We'll
they're
just go
going.
with January. We'll go January. I won't put it down for this month. It's almost half over. So we'll know by next month, and then a couple months after that, you have Shazam 2. So if they release a slate that's like there's no investment in Shazam 2, Blue Beetle, The Flash, or Aquaman 2 going forward, then there's no reason to invest. There's no reason to actually purchase those movies, give a shit about them, because they're, you know, a reboot is coming, or a soft reboot is coming, or you know, the change in the guard is happening. So I have to say that, you know, a lot of people that are like, yeah, no, it's going to be completely redone. Nobody's going to be a part of it or whatever.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
The red flag I got was when they said that they're not going to have Momoa play Aquaman.
That was ridiculous.
That's a red flag. Because him as Aquaman made them $1 billion. They're not going to screw with that
everybody
formula.
Keeps going back to that. So the next thing, the barometer is going to be set with Aquaman 2. Can they capture lightning in a bottle twice? And then if at that point in time they can say, okay, our audience is going to see Jason Momoa as Aquaman, or are they just going for the spectacle, or was it, you know, or were there other factors that played into why it made so much money?
So here's some of the speculation that came with that article, though. So you had a lot of information about Man of Steel, talking about how it probably wasn't going to happen, but a lot of that seemed kind of like it was more of his speculation.
All of it.
Project.
Admittedly, he said this is just me speculating, and none of that was based on any real facts.
Sure.
Except for Wonder Woman.
Except for Wonder Woman. Now, when it came to Wonder Woman, though, okay, there was a lot of information that was given about that, especially about how it was delivered to Patty Jenkins, who delivered it. It seemed like there was a lot of information about that, right? So when you look at
as a DoorDash,
right? So when you look at so to me, when you examine that, right, the details of the article, it would not surprise me if a lot of this information is coming from both Jeff Johns and Walter Hamada's parties, and that's where this information is coming from. Because remember, the very next day, what did we see? We saw another article saying, Hamada was actually planning on bringing back Henry Cavill.
Sure he was.
Down the line.
Sure he was.
For a crisis event. And to me, it's like, look, you could argue, that, hey, he has a new job. He doesn't care. He's got a new job at Universal. Why would he bother?
Yeah. He was humiliated.
Because these guys have egos, right? And so he's like, hey, I'm going to reach out to Boris Kid. And he's going to say, look, I was going to bring back Henry Cavill in A Crisis on Infinite Streams, or A Crisis on Infinite Earth. He was
a part of that? Oh, man, that would have blown up.
I never believed that because, so he claimed he was setting up Crisis.
Yes.
You got to set that up. I mean, how early in the MCU do we know that Thanos was a thing? Almost immediately. So I'm like, you got to at no point did you hint at like maybe the Anti-Monitor being here. Never.
And Drogo's got a point, but guys, I went to Mansfield Sharpening, and they confirmed Zach is back.
And that is true. That is unquestioned. And actually, I mean, it's really good because the Man of Steel knife sharpening company, it's a moving vehicle. So it's always
it could be anywhere.
It's always in motion.
It's always on the move.
Always in motion.
Always on the move. Okay, so going back to the Wonder Woman 3, okay, so Deadline did release some of the details about what they knew about Wonder Woman 3. Yeah, Christina Hodson's Crisis on Infinite Earths, more like Crisis. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the details that were put out by Deadline right here. Okay, so it says Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman 3 pitch involved Diana Prince placing Steve Trevor in Lazarus Pit.
God,
like,
no.
Why do they keep bringing back Steve Trevor?
I'm sorry.
Here's the thing.
First, Steve Trevor tell you
that has to, yes, I know. First, that has to be a joke. But second, let's say it's serious. Okay, so that undermines not only the arc, the character arc from the first, from 1980 crap, but also the first movie. Because the whole thing is her understanding that that you can't save everyone. Well, so she's constantly...
Oh, no, I'm just saying. It says source Deadline. Have we actually looked at Deadline to see what they had to say? Because I mean, I think that was a joke. Shit what a Twitter person has to say. I really
still, I mean, a Lazarus Pit or the League of Assassins would use his enhanced strength to go to war with Themyscira. That's like, get the fuck out of here.
First off, how do the League of Assassins know about Themyscira? And second off, when you put someone in the Lazarus Pit, they lose their mind.
Yeah, actually, a perfect comment to this one. Did Steve Trevor tell you that?
I mean, look, when it comes to Steve Trevor, okay, if indeed this story here had any kind of accuracy to it, right?
This sounds like bullshit.
It does. The only thing that I can think of is that if at the end or what do you call him? He gets put into a cell like this, then you can bring him back later on. For like a Steve Trevor, like
man, just fucking kill the.
Let him die.
Let him die. Exactly. But if you did this though, if you had him in a cell, you could bring him back later, and then he can.
No matter when you brought him back, Andre, it would still suck.
Well, then he would be in charge of the JLA, which he was in charge of JLA. But
they didn't kill him beforehand. He was already dead. That's the stupid thing.
And even Wonder Woman 84, his death. I mean, Ryan and I have talked about this at length. I mean, to me, like it would have been so much better if by recanting her wish, that puts him back in the plane that explodes. You know what I mean? Like that's
what they should have done instead of put him in another body that she then rapes. So I'm like what the hell?
It was like, how did you miss that in production? Like, hey, this is kind of weird, you know? Like,
well. Again, dude, you know, everybody's like, oh, you know, Jeff Johns is such a great writer. Maybe a good writer for, like, comics, but not for screenplays, man.
Maybe Stargirl.
Stargirl, man, that dude. If you want to see my thoughts on Stargirl, go check out my channel. I fucking
but and that's the thing. I've always said, Jeff Johns, you excel. I have your entire Green Lantern run. You excel at comics. Stay away from movies. We already know you can't do movies.
He wants to do it so bad because he's still in there.
He wants the control and he wants the money and the accolades. He wants
the accolades, not the acolytes, but the accolades.
Not the acolytes.
We got this shot today. This is the Folie à Deux image.
Yes, and this is right before he gets cut and starts singing about his cut.
No.
Stop spilling my blood. Keep shaving my face.
Okay, so what do we think about this image here for Todd Phillips' Joker 2? Looks like Joker 1.
It looks like it belongs in this universe. So
yeah, I mean,
it's an image.
He's got the physique for a crazy person in an asylum. Will they be using a straight edge? Possibly.
Is that a chic?
A Mach 3, Mach 5. But again, it fits the tone of the first one, so it should be interesting. I'm glad we got to see something of the movie, and they're filming it now, so that's pretty cool.
This is the new universe.
This is the new.
This is the new DC.
The new DC.
I just love how many people were like, "Oh my gosh, they're rebooting! They're getting rid of Henry Cavill." I'm like, why would they do that when he just left The Witcher?
Okay. So let's talk about that. Okay, let's talk about
everybody's a Chicken Little.
There's 3 scenarios, right? There's reboot, reset, and
restructure.
A third. So let's start with the big one. James Gunn will reboot the DCU. I
Not
don't
happening.
think he's going to do this because the only way you can do this is that coming out of the Flash, you've rebooted it and now you're in a new universe,
But
right?
then Aquaman 2 comes after the Flash.
And Ben Affleck is in Aquaman. Well, supposedly
Well,
he's
who
in
cares?
there.
Jason Momoa is
Jason
Aquaman.
Momoa.
Yeah.
And, no,
In-
they
in
reshoot
movie after
Aquaman and make it a Lobo movie.
Yeah, he turns into Lobo. He's like, "Whoa, what's this?"
What's happening to me?
Yeah, exactly.
So when it comes to rebooting the DCU, I really don't think that's what he's going to do.
No.
I mean, when you read these articles that came out from THR, to me, it was so convoluted and so muddied up that it was kind of like there's no real symmetry to anything that they're saying here. So I think the notion that he's gonna
Symmetry.
reboot,
Synergy.
well, because
Here's the thing, though.
no, symmetry in the sense that like it all makes sense, it all connects to each other.
Synergy.
No, synergy means that like it's working
It
together.
all makes sense.
But
I'm
100%.
It all works together.
connecting.
Symmetry is the right half and the left half are equal.
Exactly.
100% he's not rebooting. 100%.
He's not.
He's not.
Because-
He's not.
With the amount of time that DC spent trying to establish their cinematic universe, do you really think they're going to start that from scratch again?
Yeah. Are they going to say, you know what? Reboot it. We're going to recast Superman.
Everyone.
We're going to recast everyone.
Because say what you want about Zack Snyder, the people he casted, short of Ezra Miller, are very popular in their roles. So are you really going to... I mean, you saw how the internet reacted when Henry Cavill announced that he's back as Superman. Would he have left The Witcher unless he had some guarantee that we want you as Superman?
Well, I
Right.
mean, okay, so there's that, but I mean, and let's just say that there were talks, right? And let's say that those, you know, and he had an understanding of what that was at that time when, you know, he was filming for Black Adam, and then also when he released this, because he released, you know, this information, and then we got the next information about Gunn and Saffron the day after, which like totally killed most of that hype.
And
Because
real
there was a
quick-
hype train, and go ahead.
Real quick, we got a $5 Australian super chat from Australian from Axel Droga.
Oh my god! Wow! Oh my god!
He says, as Toby once said, James Gunn Superman. Oh yeah, James Gunn Superman. James Gunn Superman. Starring Kevin Spacey as like.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
Well,
god.
I mean, you know, and he's like, "Look, bring back Bryan Singer." Oh
No,
wait, that's
no.
Axel.
That's
Bring
Axel's
back
name,
Bryan
man.
Singer.
I
Let's
want
put all
more
these
Michael
weirdos
Keaton
in
Batman.
one
I'm
bowl.
like someone I know. Cough, cough. Nicotine.
But
I like Keaton. I mean, we all like Michael Keaton, but
Yeah,
I mean, look,
and I think that project,
Here's the thing.
Michael Keaton project was bullshit too.
it was
I mean,
Batman Beyond in the modern day. That's a red flag right there. But it's like I knew that that whole plan with Keaton is not going to work out because
Synergyverse.
Warner Brothers wanted a Batman that's going to last for years. That ain't Keaton. He's not going to be Batman for.
He was going to be
Sorry,
Batman
Timmy.
for as far as we know 3 films.
That would not. I can't see that
Possibly
lasting.
4. He might have
And-
come back after Batgirl released.
right. But I agree with what Hal Jordan says here. Big fan of Hal Jordan of
Yes.
Lantern
Great
Corps.
Lantern.
DC fans
In
are
brightest
exhausted.
day.
They could lose they could lose their core audience if they do a hard reboot. And
I mean,
Yeah.
they don't really have so much of a core audience though.
But here's the thing, though.
You know, it's all everywhere.
It's all us.
Here's an analogy.
just like,
Yeah, we are the
ah.
core. Here's the analogy: is that the audience is tired even when the comics reboot. You can't do, and the general audience is going to be like, okay, so I don't care about all those other movies, but I like those. I like most of those other movies. So you're just going to end up losing fans at this point.
A chalupa with extra cheese.
Yes.
So I think we all agree that he's not going to reboot.
No,
I
not
mean,
a hard
could.
reboot.
He could do it, but I don't think he's going to. There's not going to be a hard reboot, and everything's going to get
Yeah.
rebooted.
I mean, I would agree.
You could argue that, hey, look, if these guys are going to take over,
It would be easier for them.
they
to
want a
reboot.
new playground. They don't want a playground that's
Yeah.
been played on for the past 10 years.
They don't want a playground that's been peed on.
Yeah, by homeless. They want a brand new one, new swings,
They want
new slides,
fresh coat of paint.
fresh coat of paint, a little canopy
New
on
coarse
top.
and rough and irritating sand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Canopy on top with
Yeah.
shade. You know. So I think that reboot. I don't think they're gonna do it, but you never know.
Yeah, you never know.
So let's go to option 2. Option 2 is James Gunn will reset the DCU. Now, what does that mean, reset? Basically, what it means is that after the Flash, they will start a new universe in which they will cherry pick what they want to be what they want to be canon, and what they don't want to be canon.
If you look
at
at
reboot,
if you look
cherry pick what they want. You know, Suicide Squad, Peacemaker, those are my projects. I'm gonna make sure that those are still here.
Yeah.
I like Gal. She'll be part of this. And Momoa.
It would send a weird vibe, even though I think Suicide Squad is a very piss poor movie. It would send a weird vibe to those people who are like, you've reboot this whole universe, and you also gave us like Andre was saying, Peacemaker and the Suicide Squad. So you're doing away with your own project. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
He's not going to do that.
He's not going to do that, exactly.
You're like, yeah, you know what I did? I don't care about that.
What I always say, he's probably going to do is that in the comics, you know how they had that whole DC Rebirth initiative. That's basically what I think they're going to do, where they take what people like, and basically eliminate everything people didn't like. In other words, make a hybrid universe, or like where it's still the same universe. It's just they're going to use the Flash to like say switch the dead Robin from like in Nightwing to Jason Todd. In other words, they'll use it to like clean up certain parts of people don't like.
They don't even have to do that. Why would they have to do that?
Because they never
ever stated, other than in an interview with
on a tombstone in BVS.
Yeah. There was a tombstone.
Oh, I did have a tombstone. Yeah,
but I mean that's so subtle that I don't even think most people even saw that. But
true, most people, because I mean it was in Suicide Squad. That came after BVS and on
so
the.
I mean, they could retcon that. They could retcon that, and Nightwing could be alive, and that could have been Jason Todd. You know what I mean? Like that'd be an easy retcon that wouldn't really disrupt much of anything. I mean, at this point, the general audience is so lost when it comes to what's happening in the DC universe.
I think what they would do, and this is just my gut feeling, is that the Flash would reboot the universe to a point before Batman lost his way. And that's what Keaton is going to do for Ben Affleck. And then so anything like the meeting in BVS between Superman and Batman, that doesn't happen. It happens in a different way or whatever. And they can, sort of start from.
Oh, you want to erase BVS? My God.
I think that's
wow.
You son of a bitch.
Or I think what they could do is just reboot up until before Justice League and just say the other version, the one that people hate, the one that's called Craptus League, that didn't happen.
Why did you say that name?
Right. We're going with Superman.
I'm not trying to think as a fan. I'm trying to think of as if I were, James Gunn is saying, hey, you know what? I want a clean slate, but I want to not have to deal with any of the baggage. I don't want to have to deal with a Doomsday that nobody liked. I don't want to have to deal with this whole thing. Even the Martha scene, which everybody doesn't, or not everybody, but I mean, a lot of
people
fans
don't
had a
understand.
problem with. They don't understand. The same thing with. What was the? I mean, there's a lot of things that have gotten a lot of negativity, and that's what they want to avoid. They want general audience. Like they know the hardcore fans. If it's good, they'll come around, and I think that's the reason why James Gunn is playing nice with people these days on Twitter, because he's trying to gain people's confidence, and is going to.
You become a pariah.
Okay. And it's going to get to a point where he's not going to interact as much anymore. He's going to sort of like, okay, I've got you guys on board. Everybody's cool, whatever. All right, I'm going to go to work, and you guys can sort things out.
If he has some people, he needs to get to work right now and stop debunking.
Hey, why don't you just leave people alone?
Why don't you leave people alone? What happened to Bubble?
Your job isn't 7 days a week.
I know. What kind of job security do you got? Where are you spending your
they give you an hour for lunch?
Get to work on the slate, you son of a bitch. Leave our Patsy alone.
I can't even piss.
Stand it up. Let's take a look at this real quick. I mean, this was a really cool video that really describes a lot about what Zach did for the DCU.
Oh, yeah, I remember this one. I love this one.
This is a good one right here. Take a look.
There's no sound.
There's no sound.
Oh wait, hold on. There's no sound.
Production for Nicotina's show has gone downhill.
It's gone downhill. All right, here we
Production
go.
quality.
Zack Snyder is the reason for DC's downfall. None of this would have happened if it wasn't for Zack Snyder. Why did he have to take these one-dimensional characters and give them arcs, make them relatable? Why would we want to relate to the heroes that we look up to? I don't care about how and why Superman is hopeful, and I don't care about Snyder showing us why having a symbol of hope is so important in the world we have today. I don't want to see why Batman shouldn't kill. I just want Batman to not kill. I don't want to see an arc of him redeeming himself and becoming the best version of himself. I just want to see the one-dimensional character from the comics put on the big screen. Is that too much to ask? For a visionary like Snyder, yes it is. Snyder beautifully told a story about Superman trying to find his place in a world that doesn't want him, and him slowly becoming a symbol of hope by the end of Justice League. Him having to die in order to become that symbol of hope in a world that does not want him. Batman becoming the best version of himself by facing his demons, by bringing Batman to a level that we've never seen him before, doing the one thing that he swore never to do because it's why he began his quest to become Batman in the first place. We don't want to see our heroes have feelings.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
That is entirely true.
I think part of the reason why people had such an extreme reaction to what Zach was doing is because Warner Brothers pitched it as the next 10 years, but they should, where Zach said it was okay, it's going to be a short 5-movie arc. Had we known it was a 5-movie arc going into it, I don't think you would have had like this extreme reaction.
Well,
Sure.
I think so,
transparency would have helped.
because everybody was like, "Oh my god, like this is how I have to live with my universe." Whoa! If
We have
they
to have
would've known
complicated
that-
characters. Oh, I don't want that. I want to just sit there like I'm watching an MCU movie.
Well, and then he even said too, like, I was constructing this like it was a comic run, and then after it's done, you reboot, So that's how he perceived it. So, look, he wants to offer promotions and channels.
Oh, hey, thank you so much.
Oh,
The price is lower, but I'm hoping that it's flexible. So, it's incredibly flexible and convenient order management panel.
Oh, that's
Everything is
great.
in your hands.
This
Turn
is
it on,
Boy.
customize. Come on, guys.
I think it's the same guy that still up. Somebody else I know. I won't go there. Okay,
I
so,
mean, if you got tier 1, you're good.
You're
good
good
on tier 1. But if you get tier 2, that'll get you extra. Tier 1's DC, and we talk about DC all the time, but
we talk about it all the time.
And it used to be behind the paywall, but now it's definitely behind the paywall.
All screenshots. So a reset is possible.
All screenshots. Oh God.
The channel's the receipts. So.
Oh man.
Yeah, the whole channel's a receipt.
Woo!
Oh
Yeah, the whole channel's a receipt, but the receipt is somebody else's purchase.
It's like when you go into a store and you try to return something on a receipt. When the person just found the receipt outside and went in there and took the products and tried to return it, to get their money for it, even though they didn't pay for it. Like, wait a minute, hold on a minute. What? What?
You can't do that.
No, I'm not going to pull that up.
Oh yeah, I see.
So let's see. So there was that video which I thought was really cool.
Okay.
Let's see. We did that already. So we talked about a reset. I think that's possible that he could do a reset in terms of just kind of cherry picking what he wants and who's going to be where, and kind of resetting the universe, but not rebooting it, because that would just take too long.
Yeah,
way too long. I know they're like, oh, we have a 10-year plan, but I just think that's really
So to
hard.
start off, apparently. And
Why did you say that name?
I know. And when you reboot, you run the risk of people rejecting the actors that you have already cast, because they'll be like, why is X playing Superman? I loved Henry Cavill. I thought he was back.
Yeah, X gonna give it to you.
Well, I mean, it's just like, going from Brandon over to Henry. I mean, nobody really had a problem. And when they brought Brandon back to do the CW thing with the Kingdom Come Superman, nobody had a problem with that.
Oh my God, Butter Chicken, please.
No,
get the fuck out of here.
no.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
Where's that? Why'd you say that name drop
I
right
know,
about there?
God.
Oh my gosh.
Those are fighting words, man.
I know, man. It's like these guys are clowns.
Yeah.
Like this one.
Oh my gosh.
Like how I brought it up before you even knew it.
Kitty Comic Joker.
That's a great one. Who did that? Was that Jason?
I don't know, but
That's
can't wait
actually
to see that movie.
when we got together. I did that.
He still has the suit.
Yeah, I still have the suit. It's right over here.
You get what you deserve.
So let's go to scenario 3.
Uh-oh. Restore. Oh goodness. That's,
Goodness gracious. Goodness
That is
gracious.
a- all right.
Be careful, Andre.
Oh my God!
You're on thin ice on this one.
Be
DC.
careful, dude. Don't get my hopes up, Andre.
What is
no.
Jeez.
I don't think so. I don't. I don't think.
I don't think we're restoring
anything.
back to Zach's plan, which he already admitted changed. So,
But he met with Zaslav already, right? No, he didn't. He never did. He's never gotten a call. And on top of that,
Yeah.
Okay. The closest thing you ever got to a restore would have been if they never hired. Not to say that they shouldn't have hired. I'm saying if they hadn't have brought in Gunn and Saffron, it sounded based on what the Hollywood Reporter was saying is that they were going to go one more round with these characters in another Justice League movie, because I think at this point they saw what Hamada was doing, didn't like that idea, didn't see the longevity in that idea, so they said, "Hey, let's just go with what we got, and sustain that for what it's worth."
and I'm sure the reception to a certain cut of Justice League when it was dropped in HBO Max certainly helped.
Yes, absolutely. But Ryan, what do you think? Do you think that James Gunn will restore the DCEU to its rightful place and bring the proper characters back in their proper story arcs?
I believe that James Gunn will do what's best for James Gunn. I believe that he will want all of the accolade. He's not going to be like, "Look, guys, I brought back somebody else's vision." No, he's going to say, "Hey, look, guys, I've created this vision. I've used some elements from this other stuff, but this is my vision and this is my plan." And I believe that, they've had a plan for a while, because I mean, even Dan Lin had his 10-year plan. They were on board with that. Things fell through or whatever. I'm sure that they have a sort of a high level plan that they, or they wouldn't have gotten the job. Now they're, working on, or they have worked on, I don't know if they're finished with it, but they've worked out a lot of the kinks and details or whatever. So I'm sure that it's, they've delved into what that plan actually is, probably already presented it or about to present it to Zaslav and the rest of the board. So hey, if they like it, great. They might make amendments to it. They might change what Gunn is wanting to do. I don't think that, and this is just my opinion, but I don't think that they're just going to give James free reign, like, hey, do whatever the hell you want, right? Good.
And we have a new member of the channel.
Wow.
He's up.
Prakash, what's up, man?
Oh my God! Wow! Oh my God!
In fact,
He's
this is
awake.
This is how you make me feel right now, Prakash. Every time you re-up my channel, this is how I feel.
Every time I see clips from that movie, that "why did you say that name" clip just pops in.
Oh.
What's
up, Neil? Oh man, good to see you, buddy.
Hey, you know what? Neil saw you talking on here, and this is exactly what he said.
Yeah, I'm glad you called. Ryan is being a little bitch again. I'm on my.
That sounds like Neil. That sounds like.
Oh my gosh.
What's up, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for stopping by. Because why wouldn't you want to?
Exactly. But now that you've got, remember, you've got to send that money to Neil because he coined that phrase, not you.
Damn it. So, Jared, what do you think? Do you think that he will try to restore, or is that just?
I think he'll restore certain parts. Like, I'm still convinced that eventually they'll canonize Zack Snyder's Justice League and say that one's canon, the other one it didn't happen, at least, because judging by what James Gunn said in the panel,
I don't think they will, but I hope they do.
I hope they do.
I don't think they'll address either one.
They'll
Both
just
of
say,
them
remember
are
when Steppenwolf invaded? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Kind
yeah,
of
exactly.
how
That's
they
what
did
happened
Aquaman.
in Aquaman. Yes.
Yeah.
And
But
it was
what-
vague, and they're like, we're not going to reference either one because they don't want to ostracize either fan base that likes either the blue suit Superman or the black suit Superman. In that Justice League movie.
Yeah.
But I don't see. I don't think he's gonna necessarily restore as keep what we have that works because there's been plenty in this universe that in a lot of these movies that has worked really well. There's been plenty that hasn't worked. Birds of Prey. But
Ryan loves that movie.
Fuck you.
Oh, geez. Oh, geez.
That's a horrible film, man. It's a horrible film.
If you're a Cassandra Cain fan, that is a horrible film. Okay, I'm just like,
I
no.
agree with that as well. I mean, like, I'm sorry, but like, even just as an actress, who taught her how to pickpocket like that?
Yeah, but
like, you're gonna pickpocket Victor Zsasz, and I'm sorry,
That's
that
not
was a
gonna turn out
horrible
well.
choice for Victor Zsasz as well. I'm sorry, the whole movie was just stupid.
But I don't think he's going to restore because I'm under the opinion that we've never really left the Snyderverse. We've just kind of like
Got lost.
got lost. Yeah, exactly. So I think, well, let me put it this way: it's nice to have a dude that's actually like communicating with fans and letting us know, no, here's what we're kind of doing. I can't tell you all of it, but let me put it this way: it's going to be good. I was happy when he said Superman is the priority. So I'm like, thank you.
Yes, that was
Well,
great news.
I can't believe we have. Can I just say? I can't
I
believe
mean, it's in their best interest to engage with fans.
I mean, but look,
Yeah.
though,
get them on
everything that we saw from those two THR articles, everything we saw to me makes it sound like third parties were out there like, hey, this is what they're doing, this is what they're not doing, because like a lot of pressure went on Superman. They're not doing it.
Well, that's just
Everything's
because of
involved.
Black Adam. That's because Black Adam came out, Henry Cavill came out, and then they're like, oh, hey, let's roll with the Superman story.
They didn't want the hierarchy of power to change.
They didn't want to. They didn't want it to change. But when it comes down to James Gunn, also, he's been very active on social media, and we've known that as well. And so,
So why is that?
Well, let's take a look. Today he was active with our good friend, Mr. Josh from Den of Nerds. And he started out by saying, James Gunn does not like Henry Cavill. Right? So Justin Fields is the Messiah. Said, James Gunn, care to debunk this one? He goes, sure, false. Now, granted, he's not going to come out and say, sure, true. You know what I mean? Like, whoa,
Yeah.
holy shit.
Yeah, I do not like Henry. He and I do not mix well.
Yeah.
Henry's an asshole. He should. I can't believe he's not ever casted that dude.
I mean, the one thing
Yeah,
about
what the fuck?
The one thing about everybody in the industry or whatever is that they're very political and they're very just complimentary. Doesn't matter if they like you or they don't, because they don't know if they have to work with this person later on down the line. And so yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with what was the other one? So something about do you like Ben Affleck as Batman? Yes, I like Ben Affleck as Batman.
Yeah,
Well,
I
okay,
mean,
great.
Of course.
Okay, like you're asking him questions like, I think somebody asked Zack Snyder, "Would you ever work with so and so?" And he's like, yeah, I'd work with him. No shit. I mean,
Yeah,
who
yeah,
asked
no.
these asinine?
I wouldn't
fucking
work
questions?
that fucker. You know what I mean? Like, no.
Nothing against Josh.
So
but it's just like a question. It's like a duh.
right. So Josh responded by saying, even more people have reached out to me since you said this to tell me you really didn't like him. Just saying what I heard. I don't know why he had to bring it up, but knowing Josh, he just wanted the interaction. Okay, and he got it.
You got it.
So he said, so weird. You seem so plugged in. Anyway, I just had 40 people reach out to me to say that you just got kicked out of your mom's basement. So sorry, man. And then he says, "LOL. Oh, I like you. Why is it so triggering?" And then it went on to everyone.
Yeah, James was like, "Okay, I've done
he's
my
like,
work for the
yeah,
day.
I'm outta
My
here."
work here is
I've
done.
interacted with some fans onto other things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, he's gonna do that until people start getting on board with whatever it is that he's trying to do.
Now
and then he'll be quiet for a bit, and then when he's about to release something, he'll come back out, promote it, and interact with fans. then go back away. It's the same shit. It's nothing new. Everybody's going nuts.
He also posted this. I don't know what the fuck this is.
That is Lobo. That's a concept art for the Jason Momoa Lobo.
I thought this was the new Batman mask, the cowl.
That's Mole Man.
Mole
No,
Man.
not what is that? God, what are those things?
Oh, so this is a question. He said, Mr. Gunn, if you ever wanted to do cosplay, who would it be? And he posted this picture.
Oh, jeez. If I still don't get, who's supposed to cosplay?
And then Possum, yes. And then this guy said, you're doing so much for the Z-list characters still. Why, Mr. Gunn? Why? People want to know. Why isn't this man included? Nightwing. This is one of Ryan's favorite characters.
I love his response. I love his response.
I haven't even been on the job for a month. Come on.
He's like, stop, guys.
And it's just crazy. Oh, this guy. The Spy versus Spy. That cat does look like the Spy versus Spy. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
So he's been very active, and he did say earlier that Superman is a priority. He also said earlier that Green Lantern is a very important character.
Well, yeah, that's because Jeff Johns is still there.
He's still lurking
he's like, okay, Jeff, he's a priority.
Jeff Johns is Gollum.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, Jeff Johns is like, well, the Wonder Woman thing didn't work. All I have left is a Green Lantern.
Which characters am I known for? Green Lantern? All right, let's pick that one.
Yeah, let's go. Okay, so let's go to our last segment of the show, and it's a good one. It's something that Brian and I constantly do, and here it is.
Jeez,
okay, and here we go. Okay, so this thread was dropped yesterday or the day before, and I thought it was a little interesting. So what this guy is saying is that he's been feeding him false information for the past week.
Oh, so you're saying it's a social experiment?
It's a social experiment. Social experiment, apparently.
I remember that one.
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh shit! Okay, fuck,
it's
happening.
What's going on?"
What's up?
So here we go. So it says, actually, Ryan, why don't you go ahead and read this one? I'm a bit
for the past week, I've gotten proof that Sil Abdul does not have any sources and takes anything told to him and posts it for money and interactions. I have been DMing Sil with false information, and he has constantly posted it. #receipts.
Okay, let's move down.
This was done fully to prove once and for all Sil Abdul and especially Geekosity Mag are truly liars who will make any excuse to claim that they are always right. And then I reached out to Sil Abdul at the end of November. He confirmed with me throughout the week that, number one, Affleck was never signed to a movie deal and he had not heard anything. And now it's not his scoop.
Okay.
And then
at
145, he says solo films, because I don't know what's before that. He says, still digging. Nothing definite either way, though. Okay. Did the production company affect his 3-film contract? I don't dig too much into contracts at all or anything like that. Who's that? Oh, no, this is Sil. This is Sil right here, right?
Yeah.
His contract wasn't my story. I was given more about Cavill. All I had was that Ben survived Flash film and was to appear in Aquaman. After that, I wasn't given anything yet. That stuff is always so fluid, changing rapidly.
Oh, boy. Okay, so here's the next one. Oh, shit.
That's okay. I reached out to Sil in the next week of December and told him Kang would be the villain in F4 movie.
Fantastic.
Of the F4 movie to see if without providing proof if he would accept it. He talked about it in his live stream the next day, and Geekosity Matt agreed with him. They heard the same thing.
So here it is right here. He says, Room with Tut in Fantastic Four Time Traveling Adventure. Oh, wow! Okay.
What do you think this will be? What?
And then immediately, okay, so here's the thing. Okay. So do I think that, what do I think about this guy who's feeding him false information? For one, it's fucked up to do that to really anybody, right? The principle of it all. You shouldn't be going out there and trolling people and feeding them false information to see what they do with it. I mean, it's just kind of like, there's better things to do in life than that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
But at the same time, how the fuck can you take a rumor that you got from some guy that you don't even know who he is, you don't even know if he's credible, it is not confirmed, yet you put it behind a paywall for $11 fucking dollars?
Well,
To hear that Ramatut Kang.
What happened to the skull?
Okay, so I'll just say, in Still's defense, if you're dumb enough to pay $11 to hear any rumor from a non-credible source, because let's face it, like, I'm sorry, but I don't know who the fuck Geekosity Mag is. I don't know. I mean, they just came on the fucking scene from like nowhere. And then Sil Abdul, man, I mean, you know, I streamed with this cat for like a while, and so I know him, he knows me, all that, whatever. And I mean, if you're willing to pay the dude $11 to hear some bullshit, then hey, man, that's on you. That's your wallet. Do what you want, right?
Right.
You know, hey, is it cool to send him false information? Probably not. I mean, he might have put it out there because he was starved for any sort of anything, because, you know, he ain't got shit to put out right now because DC's on hold. And that's his bread and butter. That's what he knows best after, you know, being with us for so long. He doesn't know too much about Star Wars. He doesn't know too much about Marvel. You know, I mean, I know that, you know, what's his name? Mikey Sutton knows more about Marvel, but I mean, other than that, I mean, that's not still, you know, bread and butter. And this is a fucking Marvel tweet. So it's like, you know,
what's up, William?
Hey, how you doing?
I mean, if you're gonna pay the fucking money, dude, that's on you. That's your bank account. I could care less. I'm not gonna waste my money on some bullshit.
But and that I do agree with. But the principle of it all, that you're taking information that a no-name person that you don't even know, that hasn't even been confirmed, tells you. So that means that really you can tell. So that kind of says that you can tell this guy anything, and then he'll put it behind a paywall to make some money off of it. And
I
to
mean,
me,
that's on him.
But there's
That's
no
on him.
integrity. That's what bothers me the most, is that shows the lack of integrity you have, not only for yourself, but for your fan base.
But see, that should demonstrate to you, as it did, and to others, that this is a person that you know is willing to do whatever, right? It doesn't, you know, like I said, you know, he puts this shit out there. If you're so starved for you know, movie news that you'll go to any source, uncredited source, just because you believe this person, even though they've been proven wrong time and time again. And I mean, then, dude, I'm sorry, you can't fix the world. Just know that, hey, you know what? I don't subscribe to Sil. I don't subscribe to Geekosity. I don't listen to any scooper other than Daniel RPK. That's it. It's the only one that I listen to. I don't listen to Casey Walsh. I don't listen to fucking anybody else, man. You know, Dumberto Gonzalez. I give a fuck. Fucking dumbass Grace Randolph. Don't listen to the shit. You know. Don't give them money. Don't. You're giving them money for what? Information? Shut the fuck up, man.
That may or may not be true.
Just wait and see.
And then he talked about it on the live stream as well. And in this live stream, when he brought it up, when he said, you know, actually, no, it was a different one, I guess. Later on, he'll show the Agatha one that he brings up, that they said, that Mikey said, oh, I heard the same thing when the guy made it up. So it was like, what the hell?
Well, yeah, he heard the same thing because he heard it from Sil.
Yeah. And then it goes on, you know, there's more DMs. This is that video I was telling you about the, you know, this right here.
You know, there's different people attached to it now. RB Plaza, I'm a big fan of her.
Oh yeah,
he's a part of it.
Oh yeah.
I'm hearing this. I'm treating this as rumor until this source, and they may be watching the show, until something hits. I got treated as rumor until we get something, you know, concrete.
But is it a rumor though? I don't know. I mean, you have no.
It's possible that show could be reduced to a special presentation.
Yeah, I heard that too.
One
By the
shot.
way, yeah.
How could you have heard that too? If
He
this
just
guy's
told
making
him.
shit up?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's how he heard it.
I heard that
He's
too.
like,
I,
"Oh,
did-
yeah,
I heard that out of your mouth.
A
you know
second
what I mean?
ago.
And then of course there's all these other. So these are all fake scoops. He gave him fake information about these guys, about that, and he ran with it and he posted it. And I think, look, I'm not gonna read all this shit. This is because it's a lot of shit. But I think that the Wednesday scoop was wrong. Whatever. Interested. It was his Marvel Studios interested in Zack Snyder's Ghost Rider reboot. I don't know about that. It's just, I think when it comes down to it, it's like, look, if you're not going to vet your shit and you're just going to put it out there to make money off of it, I just think that you should have a little more integrity, not only for yourself but for your fan base as well. William, what do you think about all this?
When it comes to any of these informations, and not only if it comes from these guys or any other YouTube personality, trades in general, I always put the onus on the customer, the audience member, the consumer to be smarter, to be better, because you could point the finger at any particular group, but my biggest issue are the people who have credibility behind their name and decades of history behind their name and reputation. And then you see what they did to it this week. We basically had an article come out that was pretty much put us in the same spot that we did before we read the article, which was waiting for Gunn to tell us what was going on. And that's a trade. That's supposed to be something that's gospel. And I have as little use for the trades as I do for any average YouTuber that's giving me news, especially if I have people out there that are the horse's mouth or the barrel of the gun, as I like to say, that are actually giving us information. Even though he's been cryptic, his cryptic information it has more credibility than all of the trades combined. So, or scoopers, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think that, the other thing that we're looking at here is that, we just came out of a 2-year run of COVID, right? So I think that, I felt that during that time of COVID, it opened up the playing field. It leveled the playing field. Everyone, including YouTubers like us, had an opportunity to talk to celebrities, talk to different, people in production.
Things we wouldn't normally have been able to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think the backlash of that is this whole scooping game. That now you have these mom and pop sites coming up that are trying to, kind of wedge their way into that market. And look what's happening. You're getting all these bogus information and random shit, and there's so much shit being thrown at the wall that it's kind of like, man, like what are we doing here?
Yeah, that can be taken back control of, though, because even though I put the onus on the audience and the reader to be smarter than there usually are sometimes, the people who present this content, the studio heads and people like that who are the source of the news, can do a lot better job of putting people out there in front of this information. I mean, a public affairs officer, somebody like that, like I said, the customer will always fill in the gaps with bullshit where there's no legit information. And if these companies and these studios constantly have people out there engaging regular basis, you close those gaps. So I really would stay with you. What James Gunn is doing is a good start, but a lot of these content creators or a lot of these studios could really eliminate a lot of this by coming out and saying, this is our truth, this is what we're planning, this is what we're doing. And if they want to do a Q&A, I heard so-and-so was doing this. No, that's not true. So if the horse's mouth is telling you it's not true, you just shut down 1,000 outlets that were saying contrary.
So I think that James Gunn is doing, like you said, is got the right idea.
Yes,
so what he's doing
would
is
agree.
he's sort of like, kind of breaking it down and saying, hey, I'm going to blanketly, just destroy all this stuff, and we're going to build from scratch, and I'm going to be your source for the information. But soon enough, after he gets that engine greased and going, he's going to kind of let the reins go, and then that will allow for these outlets or whatever to come, try to fill in gaps and do.
But don't let the reins go. That's the important part.
I don't think he's gonna hold them on and interact with fans like he is now.
It doesn't need to be him. Once he gets it going, it doesn't need to be him.
I like when the Snyder Cut came out and AT&T was like interacting with fans then, and they had representatives doing it.
That was big.
Then that was phenomenal too. Even though it wasn't like the studio heads or anybody else or whatever. It was like, you saw the AT&T logo, you saw the DC logo, or whatever. They were interacting with people, as that was going on, and you don't know who's behind, the keyboard or whatever, but you saw the check mark or whatever, so you knew it was legit because it came from that account. So you're just like, as long as that's still happening after James is like, okay, I'm done with talking with fans. I've already dismissed all this fakery or whatever. We're trying to, we want to, get this new whatever the fuck we're doing going. Yes, give the reins to somebody else, that is an employee, and they get it from the horse's mouth, and they can interact with fans and kind of keep them up to date, so that we don't hear these quote unquote scoopers or fake sources or whatever coming out and saying, hey, we've been hearing this shit around the water cooler. No, you have somebody from the company, from the entity saying, hey, not they don't have to go out and debunk, but as long as there's transparency, that will help to disparage or discredit these types of people.
Yeah, it's like you don't hear from the president every single day, but the White House has a press briefing every day with a press secretary that pretty much puts out. Right. No, I am not, because I am too big for this suit.
It looks dope.
Yeah,
he's too buff.
Yeah, I'm actually too big for this. Actually, I'm big. But no, if
Darth Vader is like a fly to me.
It is. But no, if you have a public affairs person out there, you don't need to actually head-to-head engage. Like if Grace Randolph says something stupid, you don't have to come out and even mention her by name. What you have to do is put out the base information. And because, like I said, the roots of the misinformation comes from the gaps. Once those gaps are plugged, there's really nowhere for some of these guys to go. Not just, like I said, the YouTubers, but I think the majority of the damage, to be honest with you, hasn't been done by YouTube scoopers, hasn't been done by the mom and pops that are out there. It's the big heavy hitters, because when you hear Rolling Stone, when you hear Variety,
definitely.
They have built, prior to the modern era, they had built a reputation of being credible. But what happened is the internet happens, and when you can get news out with the snap of your fingers, they're more desperate to get it out first and to get bits and pieces out first than they are about.
Right, you used to have to wait for Starlog magazine, and that was like a monthly thing. And that's when I first found out, about Marlon Wayans, being, cast as Robin.
Cinescape was another magazine.
Cinescape, yeah, that's another one. I mean, you had to wait for the publication to come out, and back then, like journalistic integrity was a lot higher. Like the Walter Cronkites of the world are no longer there. It's everyone is an anchorman. Will Ferrell. That's all it is today.
There's no editor. There's no editor. Any of these guys, like I said, with the whole Zack Snyder thing a couple months ago, the hit job with Rolling Stone, 20 years ago, that would have gotten that person fired. And not just fired, that person would not have been able to work anywhere else, because no other journalistic outlet would want to touch them. They would have been radioactive at that point.
Sure, yeah.
But what's ended up happening, like I said, is everybody, even the so-called editors, are so desperate. You have the Rolling Stones that have been around 60 years. You have the Time. You have all these outlets that have been around literally as long as your grandparents do, that are now competing with not only technology but outlets. TMZ. TMZ. Is one step above a tabloid for most cases, but they're competing on the same level as Variety, Hollywood Reporter, and Rolling Stone now. Now, not that when you entered the game, there was no way that a tick like TMZ could ever have the credibility. But because of the way our brains have evolved and the way we absorb news, we now have people who take TMZ and any other outlet and put it on the same level as Rolling Stone. So now,
do you know how many years it's been since I put it a retraction? But yeah, no, like TMZ, bunch of buffoons. But yeah, like you said, there's sort of a degradation of filtering, and people don't filter information like what we've been doing. We're sort of looking at these things and sort of trying to break it down and sort of test it. Does this make sense? And most people don't do that. Most people just like run with it. Like
people are lazy.
Everybody, yeah, they're
lazy.
They're just headline readers.
That's it.
Well, look at this article. Look at this article last week. Okay, so. I heard people. I read the article, even though it was Hollywood Reporter. I'm like, okay, I have some extra time. I'll probably have to hit on this later on night. So I read it, right? And that read this article, all I heard was Wonder Woman was done with, hard reboot and all that. And when we read the article on our show, I was pointing out how many times I heard the word speculation. Or hypothetically.
The article writer himself said this is all speculation. Here's what could happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yet we went with hard reboot. And I'm like, wait a minute. There's 4 movies coming out that if you tell me there's a hard reboot, I'm not going to give a shit about your movies.
Right.
Especially if I have HBO Max. I'm not going to hate on them.
No reason to invest.
I'm not taking the kids out. I'm not getting a babysitter. I'm not going to make the emotional investment or the financial investment if you're telling me it's a bridge to nowhere. So when I put that common sense together, I'm like, okay, I don't think there's going to be a hard reboot. I think there's going to be a realignment, and I think some of the stuff that they picked to go forward might be like it. It may piss some people off. But listen, I went 9 years as a fan, 9 years cheering for the expulsion of what we had. Now it would be hypocritical for me to say now we got these new guys in, but only under my terms. I don't want to do that. That's not fair to them. So it's a tough world, but like I said, it's if you put the common sense button on, a lot of this stuff evaporates immediately. That article is literally bullshit. And we went through it fine tooth comb. It was a lot of speculation, but because it's the Hollywood Reporter, every syllable was now gospel. And that's
pretty much. I mean, really, all he had was the Wonder Woman 3 news, and then he just doing everything he could think of. He's just doing a lot of other shit that he's been thinking about.
Yeah,
connecting dots that weren't there.
Yeah,
I mean, there was a lot of red yarn that shouldn't have been on the board.
I'm like, why the hell would you take Jason Momoa away from Aquaman when he made you $1 billion as Aquaman?
Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, well,
it makes no sense.
They want to go with a cheaper actor. Like, then you got to reboot the whole thing, and then you got to start all over again. I just think that's a lot to invest in just rebooting every single character. I don't see a future in that.
Yeah, let's put a shirt on our MILF magnet and cover his face up. That'll make you a lot of money. That'll make you less than Shazam money at best. But with this whole reboot thing, and listen, I hear people. Obviously, I watch a lot of YouTube, and I have a lot of buddies on YouTube, and I hear the reboot thing, and it just makes me, it aggravates me because the only thing that it requires for you to say reboot is oxygen. It doesn't take brain cells.
Sure.
Now, when you actually think out the consequences of a reboot, people say, well, the DCU's only been around 10 years. It won't be that bad. You got to realize it's been 9 to 11 years without resolution. That's exhausting.
Yeah.
And even if it's the geeks like me, we're not just the only people that you need to be thinking about. The casual fan sees us. They may not know all the in-depth under the surface stuff, but they see our misery. And it's a lot easier to just go to something that's less complicated and that's already settled than to start over again. Basically, what you're saying, and I always say this, is when you reboot things, you're telling me I wasted all this time in one hand, but on the other hand, you're asking me to waste some more time. It's like being in a marathon where I run all these miles, I get to the finish line, and the guy with the stopwatch says, those miles you ran were meaningless. But by the way, in 10 minutes, would you mind running another marathon for you, wasting your own time? That's what this is.
Plus,
and it's just like people don't like having their time wasted. Now, if they have to do it, that's fine, but it's how they do it is what's going to.
Because they've already kind of done that with the Batman, where it's like, okay, are we investing in this? Or are we wasting our time? Because it was the way that it came about was stupid, but some people absolutely love the film. It's an okay film. It's just a little too long and a little bit boring. And but I mean, it is what they did. They tried to reboot during a restructure, and it's first as a studio. I mean, I don't mind multiple runs. Like, fuck, dude, we're bringing. Make a Henry Cavill movie, make a Brandon Routh movie. I don't give a shit. Just give me content, but
give me Superman content. Give me anything.
Yeah, Batman.
Let me know what the plan. Give a little bit more transparency.
Yes.
Let me know what you're doing. Let me know what to expect. Let me know why I should be excited.
Because when the MCU was created, let's not forget how early they told us when Thanos was a threat. And we have Hamada saying, I was always building toward a crisis on Infinite Earths. I'm like, get the hell out of here. No, you weren't.
And
he may have been, but
You got the Joker movie that's the sequel that's coming out. It's not connected to anything either. It's got its own following or whatever. I like the first one. I'm kind of on the fence. I'll wait to see what's going on with the second one. The picture that was released today, that was nice, but it was like, okay, he's getting a shave. I shave,
but those are singular.
I can relate.
I can relate.
Those are one-off characters.
Still,
them doing it with the Batman is one thing. Them doing it with the Joker is one thing. Them doing it with an entire continuity, that's the exhausting part for me. So if they have to do it, I would hope that they did some type of transition that makes everything we saw somewhat credible. Even if you're going to go in your own direction, I think there's too much money to be made off of that content that's already out there for you to just cut it. Because when you cut things and you reboot, I'm sitting in a comic book store where it's hard selling DC comics simply because of the reboots and the continuity things.
Sure.
Once you start cutting things off, you cut off the relevancy to that stuff that's happened, and then you cut off the revenue to that stuff that happens. And it's still a business. Why would you want to keep making money?
And that's the thing too, is that I think James Gunn realizes that, and I don't think he's as dumb as people are making him out to be, in the sense that, look, he's not gonna to reboot the entire universe would it'd just be too much of a drastic change. That's what I'm saying. I think that your only options are coming out of the Flash. You can reset by cherry picking what you want to be continuity within this new universe, or you come out of the Flash and you're back in the universe that was left off at the end of Justice League, and then you move forward from there.
Well, here's the thing too, is like, ever since like this whole thing started, the one thing that we've never gotten is like a resolution to this storyline. And the thing is, how do I know that let's say he does do a complete reboot? How do I know that the minute things get rough, they're not going to just start over again? Because there's no precedent toward them finishing a story. If they give me a movie to resolve the Justice League thing that we have right now, if you want to reboot, that's fine. But finish a story. That's the way this is supposed to work.
Yeah, why should I give you new money when I just saw what you did with my old money? It's
no trust
thing. Yeah, it's a brand trust thing.
Yes.
Right now they don't have that. They don't have the credibility to do a hard reboot. And like I said, even apathy is your biggest enemy here. It's not even the haters. It's not even the people who are like, fire this guy or fire that guy. It's not even us on this screen, because we're like I said, we're like the 1 or 2 percenters. It's the other 97 or 97%, and they don't say anything. They don't get on a YouTube show. They don't do a hashtag. They don't do a movement. They don't make threats. They don't make a lot of noise. They just simply walk away, and you will never hear from them again. And they will do it without a sound. Those people are them people walking away are far more damaging than anything that you ever want to call toxic. These are toxic guys you're communicating with them.
Exactly.
The average Joe just walks away.
And there you go. Guys, that's going to do it for the show. I'm going to start wrapping things up right now. I want to thank Ryan, William, and Jared for coming out here and talking about DC, talking about what the hell is going on.
I
think that...
Let me bring you up to speed. We know nothing.
We know nothing. We don't know a damn thing. And if
shit is falling apart. Now you're up to speed.
Yeah. If anyone tells you they do, then they're just making shit up more than likely. So let's go around the horn. Ryan, where can they find you?
You can find me on my channel, Zeverfett. I will start drawing again, doing some drawing streams, whatever, and I'll be on TikTok and we'll be having some fun. So look forward to that. Maybe at the end of this month or the beginning of next month. Project Justice League will be coming out. Hopefully, no, not hopefully. Will be coming out on the 25th of this month. Hell or High Water.
Yes. Yes. Jared, where can they find you?
You can find me at Comics League on YouTube, Comics League JT on Twitter, and Comics League 2020 Instagram.com, where I basically talk about a lot of the same stuff we talked about here, except we again try and talk about it very calm, very collected, saying, let's think things through, people. And we're currently doing a watch through of all the animated DC movies, so be on the lookout for that on Comics League.
All right, and William.
You can find me under any social media under just looking up the Sci-Fi Center. My YouTube page is right there under my name, and I'm on the Poindexter Lounges Network. And I'll be there in about 2 hours. But before we go, can you bring up RJ's comment real quick? Just
Which
I
one?
The one where
this
the
one
Black
here,
Adam was evidence of an audience. I just want to
Black Adam one. I
All right,
disagree
so I think-
with this.
yeah,
I think it'd be easier, but yeah, I disagree with that.
Yeah, I think the rebooting is possibly the easiest translates to lazy, but okay. Easiest solution to their problems. Clean slate is easier to build off of. The general audience gave up on DC and doesn't trust the current DCU brand. And then he says Black Adam. Black Adam was evidence that the general audience just don't care about DCU in its current form. There's too much baggage you need to wipe out. The baggage is with the 2 or 3%ers like us. The general audience, it will go where you lead them. If you lead the breadcrumbs to a toilet, then that's where they're going to go. You know?
Plus, the Black Adam thing is you can call that majorly to the fact that Black Adam is not exactly the most well-known comic book character ever. If it were a Superman movie and it performed the way Black Adam did, then yeah, you'd have a point. But it's Black Adam.
Well, and you've had 5 years of no-name characters. You've had 5 years of B and C team characters and no-name characters.
And I'm sorry, but Black Adam is, for the most part, for general audiences, he's a no-name character. Nobody knows who he is.
Even though it's The Rock. And also, it was The Rock's biggest opening for any of his films.
Yep.
Thus far.
With no one doing the promotion, by the way, till the end. You know, which I thought was a problem. We can internalize that. But when you're talking about when we did our we did our survey, because we filled up a theater just for Black Adam, and we did surveys afterwards, and we did surveys to the people who opted not to come as well. And the thing about Dwayne Johnson is, yes, he's a great star, but the problem is I'm not going to spend $100 to take a family out just for him if it's a movie that I'm not into and it's IP I don't know about. And the thing I tell about, everybody likes to compare it to the MCU. I always use this. The Talking Raccoon was only successful because of the movies that led up to it. If you put Guardians of the Galaxy up there, I don't care how great you think the quality of the movie is, and you put it out there without the 25 other MCU films, somebody's getting fired. All right. Actually, let's go back. That's not even going to happen because the movie doesn't get made. Because if you walk into my office and say, I want to make a movie about a guy with a Walkman, a talking raccoon, and a talking tree, absent of anything else that built up to it, you might get laughed out of the office, but at the best case scenario, somebody's going to politely tell you to go back to the drawing board. So when you put Black Adam out, when the expectation is Superman and Batman, that's a problem. Black Adam, be honest with you, should have never even been greenlit. Suicide Squad should have never been greenlit. All right, Birds of Prey should have never been greenlit. Eventually, yes, put these movies out. But if you don't put them out in a support infrastructure that draws people to it and makes them care about your universe, and you're just throwing shit out there against the wall, then you're going to fail. So, and as far as the general audience, it disengages differently than we do. So for him, I know what RJ is trying to say, but there's 2 levels of disengagement. There's the hardcore disengagement that we go through, and then there's the apathy. They're going to see, they're going to have a geek in their spheres that they see as being tortured through this, but their connection to it is do I recognize this character? Do I know what this character is? And by the way, why am I seeing a different actor in this role this soon afterwards? Oh, Superman. Oh, I like Cavill's Superman. They don't have to be a geek to know that Superman hasn't been on the air for 5 years.
Yeah.
So if I'm rebooting because of somebody's mismanagement, and if that has to happen, fine. But I think there should be other steps taken prior to hitting that nuclear button.
You looked how the hype for Black Adam dramatically increased as soon as it was air quotes confirmed that Cavill Superman was showing up in the movie. So
yeah, and people say, well, that didn't move the dial, but I'm sorry. It's going to take a little bit more for people to pay that money in the gas, to pay that $125 total for snacks and movies for a family of 3 or 4 to go down there. I'm probably going to need a little bit more than a minute cameo. That
was a little
movie that is.
The MCU
it was
had brand. Yeah, the MCU had brand trust before they started doing all these really obscure characters. So everyone's okay, I'm going to go see a Marvel movie. I know it's going to be good.
Exactly.
Captain Marvel doesn't make $1 billion unless it's sandwiched in between.
Definitely.
And it was only because they marketed that one as required viewing.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what DC needs to become, required viewing. But even I underestimated how much damage to the brand on 2 different levels that they've done. But a hard reset, like I said, reset and reboot my term for it is stupidity, but that's fine. If you think you have to do it, if there's no other way to do it, then you need to do it in a way, because like I said, DC in general does not have a good reputation when it comes to restarting again. They have a strong reputation of wasting people's time. And there's only, by the time this 10-year plan is up, I'm 48 now, I'll be hitting 60. Some of you guys will be hitting 50 and 55. That's time out of your life. Do you want to make that investment now? If you're given something like the Foo Fighters said,
damn it,
you're getting tired of starting
my
it
age.
again.
God, I'm starting to feel old.
No.
I'm a cybernetic organism, living tissue over a metal endoskeleton.
Yeah,
And with
that time is real. Time is
It
real.
is. It's very, very much real. And guys, that's gonna do it for the show. I want to thank everyone who came out here, Ryan, William, and Jared. Guys, we'll see what happens with DC when it comes to with James Gunn. But until then, until they announce a slate or any kind of plan, all we can do is just wait and see and be patient. And that's really all that we can do. And with that being said, we'll see you guys next time.